Hey, in this video, we are going to talk about how to use the Teal Resume Builder. And it's going to be a fairly long walkthrough of all the features you can use in the Resume Builder, and you can use the chapters to jump around, and we'll make sure to outline where to get those. But if you watch this from end to end, you should see all the functionality in the Teal Resume Builder that you can do for free. And then at the end, I'll cover all the things you can do with Teal Plus if you upgrade. All right, so with that, let's dive in. So here we are on the Teal home. You just signed up. This is assuming you have a brand new account. All right, let's head over to the Resume Builder. All right, and here we are on the Resume Builder, and it's going to prompt you to load your data so you can speed things up. You can do it two ways. You can upload your existing resume as a PDF or as a Word doc, or you can import your LinkedIn profile. Given the consistency and structure of LinkedIn, I highly recommend you use LinkedIn. We use a third-party service to parse the resumes, and it does a pretty good job, but resume formats, there's no standard, and they're all over the place. So if you want to get good consistency, I recommend you do LinkedIn. And maybe you even want to update your LinkedIn profile before you do this. It could be fine. You can also re-import it later, or you can start to tweak your content in Teal and then update LinkedIn afterwards. Either way totally works. So what we're going to do here is we're going to import a LinkedIn profile, and we're Tina Miller. Tina Miller is a senior marketing manager looking for a new senior marketing manager job, and she's got a LinkedIn profile. So let's go ahead and import that, and you can just do /, and then your URL. That's what's at the back of your profile, and we'll do import profile data. All right, and here we are. We are on the Resume Builder. Now you can get a quick tour. I'm going to skip it because I'm going to do it manually and show it to you. But I highly recommend that you go through the tour. It'll show you the aspects of the interface. But for now, we'll skip the tour. All right, so here we are on the Teal Resume Builder. And this is all Teal free, and everything we're going to cover in here you can do for free. This is a brand new Teal account. So first, let's talk about the main concept or sort of first principles behind the Teal Resume Builder. On the left, you will almost always have what is your career history, right? Think less about where it is visually, but more so this database of everything you've ever done in your career. The premise behind the Teal Resume Builder is that you can have one career history, again, this database of everything you've ever done, and you make views of it. And we call those resumes. And that allows you to prevent having 10 different versions of a Word doc, editing one and changing another, and then having to go back. Because our core principle is that you should be able to very quickly tailor and customize a resume for a job that you're applying to. The way I like to talk about it is that you want to show the 10% of yourself that's 100% match. And what most people do is show 100% of themselves, hoping the company will pick out the 10% that's relevant. And companies just aren't going to do that work for you. So we want to make it really easy for you to present your best self for the job you're applying to. So again, you've got this career history on the left. Not always on the left, but you have this career history that's housed in Teal, and then you can make views of it and use that information. All right, so over here on the left, we're seeing our initial imported data from LinkedIn. You can see the companies, the jobs, the achievements. We try to parse if you use bullets or sentences in LinkedIn and turn those into individual achievements, and I'll talk about that in a minute and why it needs to be that way versus just like raw bulleted text. But you've got your work experience, your education, certifications, and skills. Based on when you watch this, there'll be 4 new sections in the Resume Builder in the next few months. All right, but these should be the core sections you need. And the idea is that you manage this information and you can toggle on and off what shows up in the resume on the right. And this is a visual representation of the information you are choosing to keep on the left. So let's go ahead and fill this out. Let's add our email. Let's add a phone number. I've obviously done this before, so we'll save it. And we'll go ahead and save that information. Okay, so now you can see that that is showing up. And say for this particular job, I don't want to show my state, or I don't want to show my city, I can do that. The premise is that you just turn these on and off. But first, let's focus on content and managing the content. We'll get to presentation in a minute. All right, so here you've got your main content over here. You can rename this resume if you want. You just click on the name and you can rename it if you're using it for a particular job. You can start to collapse these sections if you just don't need that right now. Next is the idea of target titles. We recommend that you have a target title per job you're applying to. Ideally, it would match the job on the job description. Eventually, this will be automated, but right now it's not. So let's go ahead and add a target title, which is Senior Marketing Manager. I have a real good knack for typos, so let me make sure I got that right, and we're good. So let's go ahead and save that. All right, so now you can see you've got Senior Marketing Manager, and it shows up here. And what we use for editing, and this is all on the desktop, this is not really built for mobile. So all this information I'm giving you here is for a desktop. When you hover over, you get the option to edit it, duplicate it, or delete it. All right, so maybe some companies are calling this director. So let's just go ahead and duplicate it, give it a second, and it'll recreate. And there it is, Senior Marketing Manager. Let's go ahead and change that, and let's call that Marketing Director. And we'll go ahead and save that. And so now for some resumes, you might use that one. And for others, you might use this one. Right? And that core concept is the main idea behind the Teal Resume Builder. Okay, so now let's go down. And so we've got professional summaries. And we believe professional summaries are a great way to open up your resume and give a little bit of like a teaser for who you are. So you can see it pulled in our LinkedIn professional summary. You can add a professional summary and you can write it by hand if you'd like. Or once your career history is filled out, and just enough to get a sense of who you are. So that's why starting with a LinkedIn profile is really great. But once you have it filled out, you can leverage the AI functionality built into Teal. And for free, you get 2 professional summaries. So I'll go ahead and click this and you'll see what it'll generate. It's going to use my whole career history and it's going to shape a short professional summary for me. It's going to aggregate up my years of experience. It's going to pull in some of my metrics. And you can edit it. You know, highly recommend you always edit anything that comes out of an AI tool, look it over, but it should get you, let's call it 80% of the way there. So we'll go ahead and save that, and we'll do another one once we attach a job to it so you can see. But now we can sort of toggle these and switch between the professional summaries we might use for a particular job. You can also duplicate this if you want to make a slight variation for a particular job you're applying to, and you'll see it'll store all the versions for you. So let's scroll down. Now comes our work experience, which really makes up the majority of the content on our resume. It's all the places we worked and the companies we worked at. And so now you really want to focus on the information. Don't focus on how it renders the presentation yet, because we've got some other tools that help with that. So the hierarchy we think about is company, position, achievement. So we've got this company I worked at WeWork, and I held 2 positions at that company. By default, they come in at reverse chronological order, which is most recent to latest. But if for some reason it didn't, if the date field didn't come in, this often happens when you get imported from a resume versus LinkedIn. What you can do is you can click on the position and you can drag them to rearrange them. Okay, so if that's happening with the order, and that obviously affects the presentation, that's just something that comes up a lot, and I want to show you how you can reorder that information. Okay, next is editing any of the information. If you need to edit the company name, you click on the pencil, and now you can edit it, and you can add in a company description if you'd like. As an example, WeWork was a real estate company that opened so many square feet, and so you can put in a little description of the company if you'd like. I'll just put in here, so you can see here you can put in a company description. We'll go ahead and save that. And so you'll be able to control whether you want to turn it on or off in a particular resume. We'll leave that off for now. All right, then comes the position. If you need to edit a position, you can click the pencil, and now you can change the location. We can say this was in New York, and you can say it was a full-time position. And if you're currently working there, you can toggle that on. We'll go ahead and save that. And now that's information about the job, and you can turn those on and off. Again, I'm trying not to focus as much on presentation now and just the data, which we'll talk about that in a little bit. And so then come your achievements in that job. We're going to do our best to convert the achievements from LinkedIn or from your resume into individual lines. And that's really not common in most resume builders, or if you're coming from using Word or Google Docs. You would just have a bunch of text in a text editor that you can then manipulate. But because we want to be able to give you control over the ordering of these individual ones, we want you to be able to add achievements and control them, and we want to be able to analyze each of those achievements. We have it so that each one is its own item in the database or a record in your career history. So now to add them, you just click Add Achievement. You can copy paste it. You could write it from scratch. You could use some of our other tools. We've got suggestions and guidance. You can use the assistant, which is kind of like Mad Libs for constructing resume achievements. So you can say, something like grew. If the word's not there, you can just type in a new one. Here are some examples of kind of nouns you could use. Again, if it's not there, you can just type in one of your own. And then we give you a structure. Grew revenue from, to, by. I would say use the numbers that best illustrate it. In this case, say maybe Tina grew revenue from 50,000 to 100,000 in a quarter. And, for a big company like this, that just may not be a lot of net dollars, but on a relative basis, that's really impressive. So let's say grew revenue by 200% in, 3 months. That's impressive, and then by launching a new conversion funnel on the website, period. And you can see it sort of constructed that for us. We'll hit save, and it's going to add it into that achievement for that job. All right, so that's the Achievement Assistant. That's totally free. That will continue to be free. Then you've got examples of other ones that you may use if you want to copy paste something. The AI kind of supersedes this, but if you want them, they're there. And if you're struggling to even think of ideas, we've got these prompts. Did you save the company money? Did you make the company money? So some things to help you think about it. We know that this is where people struggle often, was writing achievements and kind of bragging about yourself. So achievements, we spent a lot of time and energy thinking about how to add achievements. Lastly, we've got Generate with AI. So we know this job title, and GPT Engine has a good sense and a huge database of how you might describe your achievements. So we don't know exactly what you did. We don't have a time machine. We weren't recording, but it can kind of suggest things that you could try that you could then use to modify and adjust. So given that we know the title is Marketing Director, we can click Generate with AI. You get 5 of these generations for free with Teal. And then when you go to Teal Plus, you can upgrade and get unlimited. But here, increase sales revenue by 40% in 6 months through successful marketing campaigns. Now you can tweak that, you can change it. If you go ahead and save that, it saves that generation. Every time it regenerates, it takes a credit. But now you can edit it and make it whatever you want. If you did something else, maybe you didn't do marketing campaigns. Maybe you did a new outbound out-of-home marketing campaign, or whatever it is that you did, you can now tweak this and use it. The idea is that AI helps you come up with ideas and ways to articulate successes that you may not have thought of, not to invent things you didn't do. That's really not the point. All right, so you can use the Generate with AI. And this is all just without having done anything. Well, I'm going to show you how it gets a little smarter if you attach a job. All right, but that is how you edit these. You can rearrange them, you can rearrange positions, and you can even rearrange companies. This one gets a little trickier because they're bigger. We're going to try to do some work to make that a little easier. But if you're on a desktop, you might need to sort of click and scroll to move them up and down. But you can do it. And if you need to add a company, you just add a work experience. And it's going to ask you to add a company, add a position. So if you want to add those manually, that's how you would go about doing that. So I'll just do it here so you can see it. New company, no description. I'll just do new position. And I will save that. All right, and so now you can see we've got a new company and a new position, and it's going to put it at the bottom. So new company, new position, and then we can add an achievement. I'm guessing the AI is not going to really like that title, but we'll see. So it just did some stuff. It knows that I'm using marketing as my broader career profile. So I'll just go ahead and save that. And so there you can see the 3 structures. You can see company, position, achievements. All right, so that's the work experience section. Education, pretty straightforward. You're going to put in, the educational institution, the location, GPA, degree. You don't need to use all this, but again, think of this as a career history. It doesn't all need to show up on your resume. Really what we want you to have is a log and an index of everything you've ever done, so you have it all in one place. Then you can choose what to include or not to include on particular resumes. So let's go ahead and cancel that. And here you can see we've got our existing degrees and education that came in from LinkedIn. You can also edit these. You can edit the name of the institution, edit the degree. This is where you can put in additional information. You can in bullets if you want to. If you want to put some of the clubs you were in or things you did, you can do that here. All right, then certifications. As you go to add certifications, you can see everything has guidance on the right. We're trying to be kind of like a resume writing coach for every step you take and things you want to include and not include. So every time you take an action, look over to the right and you should get that guidance. But certifications are pretty straightforward. All right, then we've got skills. We will try to import your skills or from the resume or from LinkedIn if you use that. Then you can quickly turn them on and off, the ones you want to include. If you want to add skills, you can just type them in with a comma separated list. So skill 1, skill 2, skill 3, hit save, and you will see that they show up here. We're doing some work to be able to reorder these and group them. That's coming very soon, again, depending on when you watch this video. But that should be out shortly. But right now, they just show up as a comma-separated list at the bottom of the resume, admittedly with not great sorting and things like that. But they're there. They get you those skills on the resume. And then lastly is interests. Works exactly the same as skills. So if we do interest 1, given my bad typing, just paste that 2, 3. We'll save those. And now you've got interest 1, 2, and 3. And you can see they show up as skills and interests, and it just puts them in one block. It's really meant to be supplemental and kind of tight and compact. But again, there's work coming to be able to make that a little better depending on when you watch this video. All right, so that is how you control all the information. All right, that should be everything you need to know to edit your information in your career history and have all that data. And the idea here is that you put in as much as possible because you can control what goes on a particular resume or what doesn't. All right, now let's jump over to these menus over here on the right. These are the different features or functionalities within the Resume Builder. If we want to get guidance is always gonna try to default to the action you're currently on. And you can see when we go to like add a work experience, the guidance is going to be about work experience. So again, we try to contextualize the guidance to the section that you're on and the actions that you're doing. All right, next is analysis. And this is meant to give you high-level guidance on how to make a better resume. And for free, you get sort of basic best practices, length, character count, core information that needs to be on there. So as an example, the number of achievements on this particular job is not between 3 and 5, which is our recommendation. So we'll go ahead and turn some of those off. And now we're passing that. So it's just some high level guidance. We have basic analysis that's included for free. When you upgrade to Teal Plus, you get more advanced analysis, which I'll show in a little bit. But that's the analysis tab, and you can use that to just stick to some high level principles on your resume. Next, we want to look at matching mode. Matching mode is where we can connect a resume to a job description. And the idea is to compare the things that are currently selected and turned on in our resume to a particular job description. So when you click here, it'll pull from the jobs in your job tracker. And this is where the job tracker connects to the resume. If you haven't used the job tracker, you can see our video on a full walkthrough on how to use the job tracker. You've got 3 sample jobs that come with the job tracker, so I'm just going to use one of those right now as this marketing manager position. So right now, based on what I currently have turned on in my resume, I have a 35% match score. And what it's doing is it's looking at keywords. It's really simple right now. We're not looking for you to keyword stuff. We're not looking for you to just load it up with words that you think the ATS cares about. That's not our focus here at Teal. Our focus here at Teal is to help you present your best self for this particular job. So that's why you won't see keyword counts. We have them broken up into 2 main groups: high priority keywords and then every other keyword. And the way we define high priority is it shows up more than twice, and it's in the requirements section. Those are ones that you want to make sure you get. We see a lot of folks really trying to get the score really high. That's just there to get you a sense of what you're doing. Once you upgrade to Teal Plus, you can actually dismiss certain keywords. If there's ones you don't want to focus on, you have that level of control. But here as an example, something like budget is actually in our career history already. We just don't have it turned on for this particular resume. So you can go and highlight it. It's going to show me where it is. I can turn it on, and now that's going to up my score. And I don't need to go back and write a whole bunch of new achievements. Again, we'll upgrade to Teal Plus in a little bit, and you can see what that means. So you can see all the rest of the keywords in the job description. But once you do have it attached to a job description, you can use the JD to inform the AI to create achievements. So let's go ahead and do that, because that is kind of an intersection of the content creation and the matching mode. So now for the senior marketing manager, if I add an achievement, you can see when you hover, it says for better results, attach a job. So now that a job is attached, if we generate with AI, it's going to use the job description to inform how it's creating the AI. So it's pulling in keywords from the job description, even though they may not be in the ones that are revealed. So let's go ahead and save that. And now if we want to see the full job description side by side, you can do that. Over here, you have these tabs. So you've got the full job description right here below. And you can also add your notes. These are the notes from your job tracker. So if you have any notes that you wrote in your job tracker or while you were using the Chrome extension, they will be synced between the resume and the job tracker. So you've got your match score, the keywords. We're going to add levels of granularity here with requirements and responsibilities. They're not there right now. You've got the keywords themselves. You can highlight them. And then the job description, the original job description. And you can have those all side by side. All right, so that's matching mode. Again, I'm going through everything you can do for free first, and then I'll show you how these things enhance with Teal Plus. Then we'll look at formatting. Now, this is where the visuals come in. And there's a lot of different things you can do on how you structure, but let's talk through that. You've got 4 different kind of structures, we'll call them. This structure has different font sizing. So things like font size, certain elements, alignment, those are all in the structure. Even things like these decorations, like these lines, the heading sizes, those are all built into the structures or layouts. And so there's 4 different layouts you could use. Then you can go in and change the settings of those layouts. So this is a layout that gives more of that traditional layout. I think it's more like the Harvard style template. So say you wanted to make that look a little more traditional, let's call it. You can change it to Times New Roman, which is that serifed font. You can maybe make the margins a little larger or smaller if you want to make it get more content on the page. Then you've got things that tend to be, say, a little more subjective in terms of recommendations and if they really matter and they make a difference, but they matter a lot to some folks, so we want to make sure you can do it. So do you want to have the work experience grouped by company, or do you want to have it grouped by position? So here you just go over to group work experience by position. And now you can see each position is the main heading and the company is beneath it. If you would prefer to have it by company, which is our sort of recommended approach because your work tenure looks longer, but it's entirely up to you. I've talked to a lot of recruiters about it, and I don't think it ultimately makes a huge difference. But now you can do whatever you want and not have to go change it and copy paste it to another template. Let's turn on a little bit of information here to get even more settings. So now what's on and what's off actually affects what, obviously what you can see. So let's go back over to the preview mode and let's give ourselves these locations and these dates on these. Let's go ahead and turn those on. All right, now you can see that they're on there. So we'll go back over to formatting mode. So let's say something like the dates. You don't like them all in one line and it's more traditional to have it on the right, no problem. Just set that over to right and there they are. Number formats, you don't like the dates as numbers, you like it as short form, no problem. You want them as the full months because you prefer that, no problem. I promise you those probably will make very little impact on whether it works or not, but whatever works for you and whatever gives you the most confidence, that's ultimately the most important. Then date ranges, if you want to show them by position, you can. And if you want to show them on both, which I don't recommend, but some people have said it's a good practice, it's there as an option. We really try not to allow bad practices. So as an example, we don't allow images or headshots. And this tool is mainly built for usage in the US. I know in other parts of the world that is standard. So right now we don't really allow for things like that are not great for US best practices. And so you can go through these settings. You can see if you want location by position, if you're changing that. All of these are settings you can do. Lastly is the order of the section. So as an example, if you're a recent graduate, it might make sense to put education at the top. And if you have other reasons that you want to put your skills at the top, because that's a format you prefer, it sort of lets you cut to the chase right there, you can do that. And so all these changes you're making to the visuals of the resume are saved on this resume, but your career history is not changed at all. So you can have the data and the presentation as two separate things, right? And that's formatting mode. Lastly, if you need to create a cover letter, we don't have a separate cover letter tool, but cover letters really are about how you best present yourself for a particular job and present the information about your career. So it's really the intersection of your resume and the JD and you making a pitch for why they should hire you. So with those two things connected, you need to have a resume and a job description attached. You get one AI-generated cover letter for free. So let's go ahead and click that. And this one takes a minute. One thing to note about this tool is if you have too many things turned on, the GPT API from OpenAI, which is what powers this AI, does have a limit on how much data you can send it. So if you have too much stuff, if you've got 10 jobs with 10 achievements each, it's probably going to fail and it's not going to be able to accept that amount of input. So what I would recommend is getting your analysis mode in the 80% range of quality, which means it's going to meet certain size and things like that. Then I would submit it. All of that information doesn't need to be there and it overloads it anyway. But here you can see that it's now generated a cover letter. It's put in the hiring team. It's signed it off as you. It's put in some of your achievements. And the idea is you then copy paste this and put it into whatever template you'd like in Google Docs or Word. Eventually we'll enable you to just export a PDF straight from here, but that might be a slightly different format. And so now you can do that. Eventually we'll have something that matches the resume so they stylistically look the same. But at the moment you get the copy, you get the text, and you can copy it and paste it right in. All right, and that's the resume builder. So that is at a high level, I think most of the things you can do with the resume builder. A couple other things to look at in the interface. Now that you've got your resume ready and how you want it, you can export. You export it as a PDF. Just save it where you're going to want to save it to your desktop. You get unlimited PDF exports. So I'll just save that to my desktop and I can open it and you can see PDF. Sometimes the preview may not match given the PDF engine we're using. If it does, let us know. Hit us up at membersupport@tealhq.com. But it should mostly match. We've got some rules in there to try to help break it where it makes the most sense and not to have these sort of cumbersome, illogical breaks. So there's some intelligence happening there. That's how you export it. And then you've got a few things you can do with the menu, but I'll look at those separately. But that is the overall resume builder. Let's go ahead and do a little bit of cleanup now. Let's get this back to what might be a little more traditional. Let's get our target title, our summary. Let's move our education and skills here. And there we go. So this is more of a traditional resume format. I'll go to a template that I like with pop-ins and a little bit more of a modern look. I'll make my margins large, nice and spacious. And let's make these by company. And there we go. Actually, that one's a little tighter. If you do want to add an accent color, you can do that. I'll add a little green for teal. And so here we go. Now we've got a resume we like. So a couple more things to look at the resume level, some settings that I think are important in the resume builder. If you need to re-import maybe the information you brought in from LinkedIn didn't work, you've gone and updated your LinkedIn and you want to overwrite it, you go over here to menu, import resume or LinkedIn. Here's two settings. These are very, very important. If you do append, we will do our best to deduplicate and add new information. And if you do overwrite your work history, this is going to override your work history and it is going to essentially wipe out your entire resume builder with all new, fresh information. So if you do overwrite, you can do it, and it's going to warn you. So I just want to be extra clear. If you do the overwrite, it will wipe it out completely. It will wipe out your resumes because it doesn't know what things you had on and what things you had off. So it needs to erase those versions of your resumes, and it'll give it all from scratch. So it's essentially like starting from scratch. If you need to empty it out and take it back to zero, it doesn't do that by default. Just let us know, membersupport@tealhq.com, and we can wipe it out for you on the back end and take it back to zero. All right? So that's how you do that. You can then duplicate this resume, which we'll talk about in a second. You can delete this resume or go back to all resumes. So now here you can see you've got your list of resumes you've created. And if you can do that by going back to Resume Builder, or in a particular resume, you can go to Menu, back to all resumes. All right, and then the third way you can do it is you can click this little arrow here. So this takes you back to the list of all the resumes you have. Now, unlike Google Docs or Microsoft Word, each of these are not bespoke new files. What we'll see oftentimes is people will go to make a new resume and they expect it to be blank, like you would be making a new document in Google Docs. That is not fundamentally how the Teal Resume Builder works. It's trying to save you time by using your existing information. We will eventually allow you to start with it with things unselected. We've chosen to make it default all on, so it's easier to just uncheck things. So here you can see all your career history is there, and you're expected to go now for this particular resume, choose what you want on and off, but your career history is still there. Now, one thing to note that currently when you make changes to an achievement, that is stored locally on this particular resume. We're currently working on new syncing functionality to allow you to push changes out to the other resumes. Right now, if you wanted to make changes that you'd push out everywhere, you go to your work history. You get a visual representation of your career. You can see you can't turn things on and off because there's no resume. But if you edit something here, you get this checkbox to update all resumes. This tool is going to be going away, so depending on when you watch this video, this may or may not be here. We're going to make it much easier from the resume you're working on to push it out to all your resumes. But if you did want to do that now, head over to your work history where you get that view of everything you've ever done. Let's go back over to the Resume Builder. So now on the Resume Builder home, you can see the score, what you've matched it with, what's your match score, and if you want to match it or connect it to a job, you can do it right from here. What I recommend is if there's a resume that you kind of got where you like and you want to tweak it a little bit, just duplicate it. That's the fastest way to take off from where you were. So this resume that we did all this work at, we'll just go ahead and duplicate it. And now it made a copy for us, and we'll go over to that one. And we can now then see it carried over all that information. It carried over what was on and off. So say for this one, we want to use that title instead, and we want to turn off this one and make, rearrange these achievements. That's all going to be stored locally on this resume now, but it's still all referencing that career history. All right, so that is how to make new resumes and how to duplicate resumes, and why when you make a new one from scratch, it's going to start with a whole bunch of content and not be a blank document like you might have expected from a Google Doc or something like that. Okay, so those are all the things you can do with the Teal Resume Builder. Again, everything I just showed you can do for free. If you have any questions on any of those, please let us know. We're here to help. Either smash this little give feedback button or send an email to membersupport@tealhq.com. Now I'm going to go ahead and upgrade this account, and you're going to see all the things that we can do with Teal Plus. So over here on my other monitor, I am gifting myself 1 week of Teal Plus. And now the ads went away. So you can see I am now a Teal Plus member. And if we go over to our analysis now, you can see that we've opened up more of the analysis. So things like, hey, this achievement is missing what we call a time-based statement within here. Number of achievements in the resume, if there's certain skills missing. So it's going to want us to turn on skills. So you're going to get more guidance and more instruction on how to make the resume better. Where you're really going to see a lot of the value is in matching mode. Now you can see all of the skills. You can see all the hard skills, all the soft skills, this new business. Let's go ahead and add that. So now we can check that on. If we want to look at the soft skills, the hard skills, if there's certain things that like it caught that we just don't think are relevant, you can now ignore it. That may happen a lot in like the soft skills and things like that. Sometimes we'll pull in language from the benefits section of the JD and you want to be able to exclude it. We're working to make that smarter, and so you don't have to do that. But if you want that level of control, now you can go in and turn things off. So administration, that's probably just something that got caught in there. So you just ignore it. Let's see, annual reports. Let's go ahead and ignore that. And now you can see down here, you've got your ignored keywords. So you can turn those back on if you need to, but that's going to help you tighten up your score and choose what to include and not to include. And then the other thing is now you get unlimited cover letters and unlimited achievements. You can see there's no counter, and you get unlimited professional summaries. So if we go to add a professional summary, and you can generate as many as you need to with AI. And continue to do that. And you can upgrade on a weekly basis, monthly basis, or every 3 months. But as being a Teal Plus member, that's all included. And in the job tracker video, you can see the things you get in the job tracker with Teal Plus. But there's a lot you can do for free. The Teal Plus is going to help you do the better matching, going to give you that better guidance. It's going to really enable you to leverage the AI functionality. But it's just more of what's already there. I don't think you guys would benefit from seeing me just make a whole bunch more achievements, but the idea being that you can now really iterate through many of them. So if I run one and it gives it to me and it's okay, well, that one's good. Let me just do another one, right? You're not like sort of budgeting and counting the ones you have. Every time you run this, we have to make a call to OpenAI's API. That costs us money. Therefore, it's part of what's Teal Plus. We would love to be able to continue to give more and more of this for free to help everybody. But that's how that works. So you can go ahead and save the ones you want. And it allows you to really leverage this tool to explore more possibilities. I think now that covers everything you can do with the Resume Builder. If you have any questions whatsoever, let us know in the comments of this video. Email us at membersupport@tealhq.com or hit the little feedback button in the lower right of the Teal platform. But again, we hope you are getting the most out of this tool. We hope it's helping you with your job search, and best of luck landing that job.